small businesses that say they need those workers, then let's get Build Back Better done so that we're really creating the infrastructure so we've got the child care so those mamas in particular can go back to work. And by the way, while we're at it, let's raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher in America. Let's make those jobs the way we made construction jobs 2 generations ago, good middle-class jobs. Let's do the same thing in the caregiving industry. You want to talk about something that's good for families and that's good for our economy overall. And this time, instead of being predominantly men's jobs, let's do it because these are women's jobs and mostly women of color. Let's make that investment as a nation. Let's lift up those families.
Time now for a bottom line look at the various tax increases that companies and high earners face under the House bill. Robert Frank joins us right now with more on that. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Becky. There are actually dozens of tax increases in this House bill, but for high earners and companies, there are really 6 changes that matter the most. Now, on the corporate side, the biggest new corporate minimum tax, that's the biggest change. It's a 15% minimum tax on book income, and it applies to companies with $1 billion or more in annual profits. That's going to hit around 70 companies, including Amazon, Facebook, FedEx, and GM. There's also a new minimum tax on foreign profits and a lot of changes to intellectual property and foreign tax credits. And of course, there is that 1% tax on corporate stock buybacks. Now, on the individual side, there's that new 5% surtax on income over 10 million and 8% on income over 25 million. So that's going to affect the super high earners. Now, that 3.8% net investment tax that right now that only applies to individual earners, that's going to now apply to pass-throughs and business income over $400,000. And of course, the bill makes permanent the limit on business losses that exceed income for non-corporate taxpayers. Now, the one plus here maybe is SALT. That would raise the current cap from $10,000 to $80,000. But Becky, as you mentioned earlier, we're going to have to see whether any of that SALT change survives the Senate.
You know, the video of the mosh pit there of celebration in the House, were you a part of that?
I wasn't jumping literally, but I was jumping with joy in my heart. And I'll tell you why. You know, France has had universal preschool since the 1800s. Since the 1800s. The École system there, it works. And you know what the biggest benefit of preschool is? It's for the working class and the middle class. The studies show it has the most impact in giving their kids a shot. We're going to do that for the first time in the United States. And then on climate, this is the biggest investment in climate this country has ever made. We're going to hit the president's goals with executive actions of climate emissions, carbon emissions by 2030. It's huge.
Paid family leave is in the bill, 4 weeks of paid family leave. It is something that Senator Joe Manchin has said repeatedly he can't support it. Why is it in the House bill if that's the case?
Well, there are other senators who really want it in. I mean, if you value families, you should be for having people be able to take care of their families. This isn't about politics. This is about allowing people to have time to take care of their kids, to take care of their elderly parents. And I think other senators are going to really work to get this across the finish line.
Okay, so now it's going over to the Senate. This bill, the Build Back Better Act as passed by the House, is not going to be the same when it comes back to the House after the Senate gets its hands on it. Are there red lines for you that you won't cross if that Senate bill comes over and there are certain provisions that were in it that you voted for aren't in the bill that comes back from the Senate?
Well, if the bill was significantly diluted on climate, it would give a lot of people pause. I don't expect that to be the case for 2 reasons. One, this is the framework the president negotiated, and he's confident it's going to pass the Senate. People said, oh, was it going to pass the House? He was right. It passed the House because he negotiated it. I have full confidence it'll pass the Senate. It's going to be 90% of what we passed.
Let me play you some sound from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, what she had to say at the briefing on Friday.
This bill, no matter what, everybody supports universal pre-K, cutting the cost of childcare, a historic investment in addressing the climate crisis, making sure there's more housing units available, investing, making sure elder care is less expensive. There are disagreements. Everybody everybody knows that publicly, but he knows he's not going to get everything he wants in this package. If it's not in there, he'll continue to fight for it.
If it's not in there, he'll continue to fight for it. That's the President of the United States. If some provisions aren't in the bill that comes back from the Senate, will you continue to fight for them?
Absolutely. And one thing, Jonathan, I don't understand is the criticism over the process. This is how democracy is supposed to work. We all represent different constituencies. We work, we compromise. You know what the problem is? Only one side is playing in democracy, the Democrats. The Republicans refuse to play.
I'm going to get you on, we're out of time. I got to get you on one more thing. In the Washington Post yesterday, there was a big story about, Democrats worried about whether the president's going to run for re-election. And of course, the story says he will. But here's a key quote that I found interesting. Quote, President Biden will enjoy strong support from many progressives when he runs for re-election. He will certainly have mine, said Congressman Ro Khanna, Democrat, California. And this is the key piece, who co-chaired the campaign of Senator Bernie Sanders in 2020.
I've been very impressed with the president's leadership. He's taken progressive ideals and he's delivering the most possible under the times. He deserves re-election, but that's far away. Let's just first figure out how we're going to deliver for the American people.
Well, that is a good point. It is far away.
Well, thanks, Michelle, and thanks, Roger. I think Roger would have been going first, but I've got another engagement that I've got to get to, so he very politely is letting me go first here. I did. Yeah. That's why I did it. No, look, it's an honor to be here with my friend Andy Barr. We actually were at college at the same time together at the University of Virginia. Roger is actually my congressman. I keep my eyes on him on the floor. Now redistricting will get me into my own district. And my fellow former colleagues at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, where I worked before I ended up running for Congress a few years ago. We're here for a really critically important issue. I mean, most of what happens in this building behind us is unfortunately a lot of noise, and unfortunately doesn't do a lot of good for people directly. But we're here dealing with the human issue of homelessness that affects all of us. It affects our communities. And look, I can tell you, as someone who represents downtown in South Austin, we've got a major homelessness problem, and the very left-leaning city council and mayor have the exact wrong prescriptions for that homelessness problem. We're seeing it unfold, and it's affecting real lives with homeless encampments, with rampant increase of drug use because of the bad and failed policies. But meanwhile, that's juxtaposed against policies that work, where the people in the Austin community in Central Texas come together. Mobile Loaves and Fishes and the organization there connected with Community First. Community First, which it's the best of what civil society offers, where human beings, community members come together with their dollars to create an environment where people can have a community to get off the streets, get housing, get the help they need, be with like-minded people to lift each other up and get into housing, because that's the path. It's civil society. It's not a top-down approach. It's not a government mandate, government strict rules and regulations approach that then limits the ability of organizations of faith, organizations in the community broadly, to use those dollars and those resources to help lift people up in a holistic approach. I'm proud to stand here with Andy Barr, and I'm proud of him introducing this bill. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of this bill. Frankly, let me be blunt, Republicans need to do a better job talking about the issues that directly affect people in our communities. As a Christian, I believe this, but I believe in the approach of civil society and of human beings helping each other. I don't believe in top-down approaches that limit the creativity and the ability of people, Texans, to be able to help fellow Texans, as well as in Kentucky and throughout this great country. I'm proud to be here, proud to be in this great group, and appreciate all the hard work, and I'll turn it back over to Andy. God bless.
Yeah, so now Robert Marvin.